So in this video, we're going to talk about 9 of our favorite benefits from paying off all of our debt. And so if this is something you're thinking about at all, about actually paying off your debt, or if you need a little more inspiration, these are some of the benefits that we have found, and we're just going to chat about them for a few minutes. Sound good?
Let's do it, yep.
All right, so number 1 is just kind of a removal of pressure. And so anybody who's been in a lot of debt, or really even a little bit of debt, like just senses that underlying feeling of pressure and just feels like there's something there, and I don't know, just kind of bothers you. And for me, like, that was just amazing when we got rid of that, and when that, like, we could just kind of remove that thing off of our shoulders and we could just feel that pressure relief. How did it feel for you?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think, honestly, when it was just kind of an underlying pressure, that was when we had things under control. When we had things out of control.
That's
I
true.
mean,
So this
I
pressure,
felt like someone was sitting on my chest, honestly.
Yeah, so this pressure, even when we had it under control and we were doing fine, as most people would think,
Right.
but still there was that
We could make our
underlying
payments,
pressure.
basically, is what I mean by that.
Yeah.
Yes, just kind of removing even that brain space of, okay, I've got to pay this on this, and, you know, is this money coming in at the right time, and kind of all that stuff.
Yeah, it simplifies things a little bit, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and honestly, we never even were in the situations where we had, you know, debt collectors calling all the time. So, I mean, I can't even imagine the amount of pressure that anyone in that situation is feeling, and to have that relieved would be a really, really good thing. All right, number 2 is that Lynn and I have been fighting about money less since we got out of debt. Way to go, us. And I'm not sure exactly why, but I mean, I guess just kind of removing that pressure that we both feel that probably is what leads us into some money fights. You know, there's so many studies that say that money is one of the top and most common things that people fight about. And so it just has to be stemming from that pressure. And so in our case, like, once we kind of got rid of that, I just noticed that we were fighting less. And I like that, right?
For sure.
Yeah, can't beat that. Number 3 is that we've been able to move towards and reach our financial goals faster. And this is just, you know, basic common sense, but if you're not shelling out hundreds of dollars every month to credit card payments and, you know, to all your other debts, you now have that money that you can use to kind of move towards your financial goals. And so in our case, you know, we've been able to save a little bit more for retirement or for our kids' college, and really anything else that we wanted to save for, we were able to do it a lot faster.
Right. I mean, even things like buying a new couch or buying a new headboard for our bedroom or things like that, that it's kind of a bigger chunk of money. And once we got rid of our debt, it was so much easier to be like, now we can take this money, instead of giving it to things we've already been using but haven't quite paid for yet. Now we can actually purchase something with cash.
And it feels like, I think it feels a little bit more okay to spend on those things now that we're out of debt. Whereas when we were paying off our debt and working towards that goal, it felt a little bit like, should we really be buying a new couch right now when we have debt, you know? Whereas once we get it paid off, it just feels a little bit more, I don't know, I feel okay with it.
Yeah, or we were like, what's the cheapest couch we can find?
Yeah.
Because we needed a couch, but.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, agreed. All right, number 4 is that the feeling of owning something outright and not having the bank with their paws on it is just a great, great feeling.
Right. I mean, worst case scenario is you get something repossessed, like a car or a house, and not having any of that hanging over your head is just kind of freeing, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and I still remember the first car that we paid off together, and really it was like the first big thing that we actually owned without having a loan of some sort. And I remember having that title in my hand and just the thrill of,
we were like, dang, we are awesome.
Like, just owning this car, like, it was just a really, really great feeling. And so anyway, so, you know, since we've been able to pay off all of their cars and then a house, and it's just really great having that feeling. All right, number 5 for us is that we've been able to give more generously. And this is something that, I mean, from the beginning when we were dating, like, we've just been dreaming about being able to give on a higher level and being able to give more and stretch beyond 10% and just see how far we can go with our giving.
Yeah, I think it was it's our call, but it's also one of our goals.
It's something that it's just God's imprinted on us. It's hardwired into who we are. And anyway, and so this has been something that's been really exciting for us to get to step out into higher levels of that. And in a lot of ways it would not have been possible, or definitely not on the same scale, had we not paid off our debt. So one of the things that always bothered me was knowing that I was paying hundreds of dollars of interest to different banks and credit card companies. And that whole time I was just thinking about that, like all that money is going to them. I would much rather that go to some organization or some ministry that I really want to support.
Or even a person, an individual person.
Like just why is it just all going to credit card interest and car payments? So anyway, that's something that was just a really big one for us that has always been a motivation for us to get out of debt, and it just has been really fun as we've gotten our debt paid off to be able to move into that area a little bit more.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah, and I love that it seems like we have less and less limits. The more debt we get paid off, the more it's like, okay, we really want to do this, and we can kind of check those off of our list of things that we want to get done.
Yeah, for sure. Number 6 is that by having our debt paid off, we have greatly reduced the possibility of financial disaster in our lives. In our pre-debt ridden lifestyle, when we were living paycheck to paycheck and where there was just no margin, we were in a situation where any little thing that could come up could completely derail us financially, So,
right, just like needing new tires or...
Yeah, or water heater breaking or
Right.
like anything like that. We were in a situation where we were so tight that something like that could just completely derail us, and we'd have to put whatever thousands of dollars on a credit card, or in some cases like we couldn't even pull it off. So by not having that debt looming over our heads, we've just been able to increase that margin a bit, and so any little setback isn't something that's going to throw us off the rails.
Yeah, and I think just kind of having that security, for me, it just feels...
You like that?
Yeah, I like that.
All right, for number 7, it was all about changing the momentum for us. And so in our case, when we were living paycheck to paycheck and just riddled in debt, like we're just kind of on this downward spiral. I'm kind of like what we were just mentioning in the previous point, where one little thing would happen or we have a late payment and then it would just kind of add to the debt, and it just got worse and worse. Whereas once we started paying off our debt, we just kind of changed the direction and the momentum of where we were going. So it's kind of like a snowball, and the snowball kind of rolls down the hill in both directions. And so instead of rolling down on this side, we now kind of got it up over the top and where it's rolling down this way. So we still have the momentum, but it's going in the opposite direction, and every good decision is kind of building on each other and continuing to build our net worth and improve that. And that's been really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Okay, so for number 8, it was, at least for me, that I was no longer a slave to my boss, which is a really fun feeling. And this might sound a little bit silly, but I used to feel like my boss owned me. I had no control in my life, because whatever my boss said I had to do it because I needed that job. And once we got our debt paid off, it just loosened the reins a lot and added enough margin. And not enough to like pull a Jerry Maguire type thing, but it did provide some more margin to give me a little bit more comfort in that area. But all in all, just being able to create that margin by not having any debt, like, helped me not feel like my boss owned me as much. All right, and number 9 is that we were able to set a better example for our kids. We now have 2 kids, and we have a 4-year-old, and we're trying to teach him about money a little bit. We got this book where we're teaching him a little bit of the basics of money, and he's really interested.
Yeah, and we go to the store and he's like, can I have this? Can I have this? Can I have this? Just a typical kid. It's really great to be able to set a good example and not just be building up debt to get this kid whatever he wants, but kind of explain to him how the whole thing works. And especially because we're actually doing it. Like, we tell ourselves no, and so for him to hear the word no, it's the same thing that we have to tell ourselves all the time.
Yeah, I mean, and kids learn so much more by what we do than what we say, and so it's really important that that's a lifestyle that we live if that's what we want our kids to do and be.
Right.
All right, so those are our 9 reasons why we are super excited that we paid off our debt. If you're still in debt, why don't you leave a comment down below. Tell me which one is most exciting to you. If you've already paid off your debt and you have another reason, go ahead and comment down below. Yeah. And on this channel, we talk about how to make more money, save more, and give generously. So if that's something that interests you, you can just go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. Give us a thumbs up if you'd enjoyed this. Any other thoughts we should add about this whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of want to encourage you that it is actually possible.
Yeah.
It is. It's work. It takes work and it takes discipline. But honestly, if I did it, anybody can do it.
Yeah.
I really mean that because
There are so many people who first embrace this idea of paying off debt and they just see it as an impossibility, see it as this mountain that is just so big that they will never be able to kind of overcome. And don't buy into that lie. You can. And it's absolutely worth the fight. And we just have found in our lives that as we kind of stepped out in faith and then prayed and trusted God to help us with this, we just saw so much momentum and unexpected help in this area. So I would encourage you to do that as well.
Absolutely.
All right, that's all for now. Take care. All right, so that is, I don't know.
The silence in between these makes me feel so awkward. Because it's like we're chatting, and then we're like... I was literally going to say the same thing. That's okay.
What do you want to say?
No.